Hey everybody, David here, and today I want to rank the DCEU movies, the DC Cinematic Universe, or Extended Universe, for those of you that don't know what DCEU stands for. Yes, DCEU, there is a new movie coming out today. It is Shazam. Shazam, I'll leave my thoughts on it when I get to it, but I think you should all go and check it out this weekend. It is a really enjoyable film, especially for those of you that love superhero movies. This is the one. This is the DC movie that will put things hopefully on good terms with everybody. And that's what we kind of wanted. But there are some movies that were a little controversial that I ended up enjoying, but not everybody else. Sometimes you do want people to get on board, and if that means changing the shape of what it was, then so be it. But this is my list, and look, I don't want anybody to get offended if your movie, your favorite, is lower on my list than it is on your list. That's the great thing about lists. You can place it anywhere you want. So make your list in the comment section below, and I check out the comments, believe it or not, negative or positive, I'm always checking them out. I love seeing what other people have to say. So let's get right into this. Here are my top 7 DCEU movies, because there's only 7 of them right now. And it's growing, so I think the last time I did this was when Justice League came out, and we got 2 more, and I think it's a good time to place it, because our minds change, and you'll never know where these movies will be at now. So, starting at 7, I have Suicide Squad. That's right, the Suicide Squad is the 7th, the lowest on my list. Unfortunately, it's down there because of lack of plot. That's right, it didn't have much of a story, but the characters were really enjoyable, so I'll give it that much. Sadly, unfortunately, it didn't have much else going for it, and it does get a little tiring towards the end of the film on rewatches, so that's what I'll say about that. Moving on to my 6th favorite film of the DCEU is Justice League, the movie that was supposed to be the most like Avengers, which when I do my MCU list, the first Avengers is still in the top 5 for me right now, so I'll say that. Unfortunately, Justice League wasn't that big of a thing. It was kind of a letdown, and unfortunately, that's what happens when you have 2 different directors directing it. You don't have one unique voice telling the story. And you can feel that within the movie, that there's something like tearing the story apart, that there's too many cooks in the kitchen. But look, at least it had a plot, so that's something it had over Justice League, and over Suicide Squad. And look, Justice League at least made these characters really enjoyable. A lot of people were definitely talking about Superman, Aquaman, The Flash, and Wonder Woman by the end of it. Batman, people love Ben Affleck as Batman, but you can feel that he was ready to leave by this movie, after all the drama of another film that I'll mention a little bit later. So, moving on to my 5th favorite film is Aquaman. There was a time a few months ago, where this movie probably would have been one notch higher. Unfortunately, it got knocked down a notch because I have rewatched the film since it hit digital and Blu-ray. And even though I still enjoy the movie, I will say maybe it's not as good as I once thought. It's still a fun movie, but I had to knock it down a notch. So there you go. So moving on to my 4th favorite film is Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. I think this is an underrated movie. I thought it was underrated when it first came out. I think it's still underrated. I think the extended version definitely improves on a lot of the things that critics have complained about. Look, the darkness thing, I don't know why people complained about the darkness of Batman v Superman, because guess what? These are the same people that watch Daredevil and The Punisher, and nobody complained about those shows. But those shows are allowed to be dark, but Batman v Superman can't. Batman is a dark character, and whether people liked it or not, I think most people agreed that Ben Affleck was a badass Batman. And unfortunately, because of the drama, we drove Batman away. This is what happens when you guys are assholes. I'll take that back. This is what happens when you guys are mean to people. we lose good things. And unfortunately, now we lost Ben Affleck as Batman. Henry Cavill, was he a little too mopey in this movie? Maybe, but that's not his fault. That's a Snyder situation. But personally, I see what Snyder was going for in this movie, and I wish a lot of people were a little bit more on board. But I get it. Fine. What's in the past is in the past. Let's move on to my third favorite movie. That's right, Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman. I think these next two films, a lot of people are gonna have in their top two. Wonder Woman was my second favorite. That's right, was. I really love Wonder Woman, and guess what? This is a movie that I think even DC beat Marvel at recently. Not to compare Captain Marvel to Wonder Woman, but I am going to compare them. Wonder Woman was the better female superhero movie. I like Captain Marvel a lot, but if I'm gonna have to pick one, DC actually did it better than Marvel for once. Good job, man. You lost at Justice League, but you got the female action hero right. So congratulations. Wonder Woman is a great character. Gal Gadot, everybody was doubting her when she was first casted. A lot of people got won over by her in Batman v Superman, which was one of the highlights of that movie. And then for her to get her own movie, it was so enjoyable. And it's very rare for a superhero movie to get the romance between the hero and her love interest right, or his love interest right. The fact that this movie was able to do it, Patty Jenkins needs to do more movies. That's all I'm going to say. Warner Brothers, you better keep her. And it doesn't have to be a female-centric movie, I would like to see Patty Jenkins direct a Superman movie, because I think she could put the right joy into that movie as well. And Superman should have a little joy. I mean, come on. Even though I don't want to sound like a hypocrite, but let's move on. Number two, I have Shazam. Shazam, that's right. I was struggling putting this movie for a while as my favorite or my second favorite. And now that I had 2 weeks to digest Shazam, I can honestly say I'll put it in second place. But I will fully understand if people put this in first place, because when you see this movie, you guys, there's no way you can hate this movie. It's such an enjoyable, heartwarming film that you have to be a monster to hate this film. I'm really serious. I think this movie is just, it will put a smile on your face. If you love family, if I think you will. If you're a family man, I think you will really enjoy this movie, or just a caring person in general, because, yeah, this movie I love it. Go check it out. It's out today, and it will be out for future generations to come, future days to come, whatever. And let's move on to my number one, which I'm going to be hearing a lot of yelling about. Man of Steel is my favorite DCEU movie. Period. So I love the character of Batman and Superman. So people are going to be asking, so why isn't Batman v Superman your number one? Yeah, well, Batman v Superman isn't a perfect movie. Even I can admit that. Come on. But Man of Steel, I do think, is a perfect solo film. And something that DC has been getting right are the solo films. Wonder Woman, Shazam, Aquaman. So I do feel that Man of Steel should fall into that camp too, because I really do think that this movie gave us the origins of Superman, something that has been done time and time again, but still managed to make it fresh. And that's what I really liked about it. I liked seeing this new take on Krypton. I'm tired of the icy cold Krypton that we've seen in the original Superman movie, and then Smallville tried to copy it. Krypton is doing it. It's like, guys, Krypton can be so much more than just an icy cold planet, or a rock planet, whatever you want to call it. Like in Krypton, it's all caverns. I mean, Krypton can be so much more beautiful, and I think this movie managed to give us a really great look at that. And to put Superman in a real-world experience, I thought was really different and fresh too. And I think a little bit of that credit should go to Christopher Nolan, who made the Dark Knight trilogy one of the greatest superhero trilogies of all, maybe one of the greatest trilogies of all time. Definitely, there's an argument to be made there. With his realistic take on Batman, I think it was interesting to put that take on Superman. And I really gravitated towards that. I think that is how the world would react if they saw a man like that. And then on top of that, you're getting also an alien invasion film, kind of like Independence Day, but more crazier because they're Kryptonians. And you know who Kryptonians are, and they're more powerful than just some white, gobbly looking alien from another planet that got a terrible sequel years later. Man of Steel, I think understood the character of Superman a lot more than we like to give the credit for. It just didn't give the Christopher Reeve joy that most people expect from Superman, and that's what I really liked about Man of Steel. It was different, and I think there are a lot of people growing on this movie. Like I've seen a lot more people accept it more. So maybe slowly it's starting to get the love that it deserves. It still hasn't quite reached the level of Wonder Woman or Shazam, and I think it never will because obviously those two are like apples and oranges compared to Man of Steel. But don't think that Man of Steel is as dark as Batman v Superman. I think compared to it, there's a little bit more optimism in there. A little bit more. I mean, you gotta look deep down into it. And guys, the destruction at the end there, I mean, come on. It's a disaster movie. It's got to have some disaster. And Superman's a one guy fighting all against these Kryptonians. Like, give the guy a little break, okay? Unfortunately, there's going to be some damage. There's nothing he can do about it, you know? Anyways, that's my list. I hope you guys like it. I probably will get crap for that last one. But I don't care because it's my list. And if you guys want to fight over it, go for it. I'll read your comments. And I'll read the negative ones too, because whatever, I can take it. And with that being said, I hope you guys like this video. Please subscribe to my channel, especially if you're a fan of superhero movies, Marvel, DC, all of it. I love it all. And with that being said, until next time, take care.